Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to Spirit-Centered Business Show. I'm here again with Rhonda Sciortino, right? Did I get it right?
Very good.
And if you have not gone over to spiritcenteredbusiness.com to grab your free business assessment to find out where you are on your journey to having a spirit-centered business, go ahead and go there now. And also, you guys, if you missed part one, make sure that you go either to YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're picking up the podcast. Spiritcenteredbusiness.com has all of the links to all of the platforms where the podcast is. And make sure that you catch episode number 1 with Rhonda, because we had a great conversation and we're going to continue it now. So welcome back, Rhonda.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So we ended the last one on a cliffhanger about this sense of urgency. And I want you to give that statistic that you gave me, because your 2 books, 30 Days to Happiness and 30 Days to Love, are more than just fluff, aren't they?
Oh, yes, they absolutely are. Because, if I name them End Your Depression Now or Stop Suicide Now, I mean, it just sounds so dark, and I don't want it to be dark. The antidote for depression and despair, for post-traumatic stress disorder, for suicidal ideation, for substance abuse disorder, all of those things improve when we have real, genuine, authentic love in our lives. And I don't mean love like, I don't know, you turn on the TV and everybody loves their new car, or they love where they live, or they love their job, or they love ice cream. Okay, we don't have the right words in the English language to really accurately talk about love. In the Greek language, there are 7 different words that refer to the different types of love: love between a parent and a child, love between 2 lovers, love between friends. But we don't. And so we sort of dilute the whole idea of love. And when we do that, we really kind of dismiss the healing power of love. So you and I know that God tells us in his word, God is love. Right. So just to make it super simple, if God is love, then genuine love is God inspired. Genuine love comes from God. Mm-hmm. And there are lots of people who say, well, I don't believe in God. I don't know about all that. But most people would agree that love is a real thing. Real love is a real thing.
Absolutely.
When we peel away the ice cream and and all the other stuff that just kind of
Valentine's Day love.
Okay. Okay, exactly. When we look at what it really is, if you think about it, bad relationships harm us. When somebody stands you up, it doesn't feel good. Right. When you get fired from a job where you have social connections, you have friends, you have clients that you look forward to talking to, all the different connections that come, and you get fired from that job, it feels badly. When the person you love leaves you for somebody else, it's devastating. It goes right straight to our soul, because it hits at our worth, our value, our worthiness to be alive, what we deserve. I guess I don't deserve, I guess I'm just going to be unhappy all my life. I guess nobody's ever going to love me. And I have to say, Bralynn, from the first episode, we talked about kind of where I came from and my background. Mm-hmm. And because my parents had left And the people who raised me constantly reminded me that they did not sign up for raising another kid. They didn't want me. I believed with my whole heart that nobody loved me, nobody would ever love me, nobody wanted me, that nobody would ever want me. I thought the best I could do is keep my head down, try not to make trouble, don't make a lot of sound, don't use up a lot of air and space on this planet, don't eat more than I'm supposed to take. It was really that bad.
Yeah, playing small and staying safe in the
Yes.
smallness. Yeah.
Yes, because if I mind my own business and I don't make any waves, then I won't get hurt as badly as if I step out and try to, stand up for myself or whatever. Well, all of that's behind me. I'm a completely different person now. And now I feel loved. I know that I'm loved. I have authentic love in my life. And I don't mean just with my husband of 30 plus years. I'm talking about loving relationships on lots of different levels. And I know that I know that I know that bad relationships harm us and good, healthy relationships heal us.
Right.
So love is is the elixir that brings healing. And so, I don't, gosh, I haven't found anybody yet who disagrees with me. But what I do find are people who say, okay, yeah, that's great. Wish I had it. I don't know how to get it. How do I get from here in my life that I hate, my misery, over here? And just, let me be like you and be happy every day. And because I say all the time, a lot of times at night, my jaw literally hurts because I've been smiling and laughing all day. And so, yeah, I want everybody to go from where I was, misery, to having this amazing life. And it's about love. And love, when you have love, leads to happiness. Love eradicates misery. You can't have genuine, authentic, that real feeling of all is well, that wellness, that contentedness, and not also have happiness. So the first book that I wrote was 30 Days to Happiness, really because it was a conversation between me and the CEO of the publishing company that publishes most of my books. And we were talking about depression. And it turns out his father was a psychiatrist. And so we have conversations about mental health stuff. And I was saying, the number of people who commit suicide or try to commit suicide every day, it's astronomical. We know that veteran suicide is very high. Victims of child abuse, the suicide rate is so high because Berlin, what happens is you you lose your job, you lose your home, you can't pay for your car, you go to move out. Well, here's your stuff. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to take it? You're no, so you lose everything basically. You lose a lot of social connections because when you're all good and you have your home, and you have your car, and you have your job, and you have all this, then you're part of the crowd. It's harder for people to make you part of the crowd when you're homeless.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I finish your thought and then I've got some.
Well, it's just that when you get so it's a tumbling. All this
Right,
happens. Stuff
right.
is going away. Things are being taken away. Stuff's going away. And you get to this point where suicide appears to be the only option. This is what happens. You get to the place where, okay, I've put out 400 resumes. I still don't have a job. I don't know where my next meal's coming from. And I can tell you, the longest I've gone without food was 5 days. But I know how it feels to hear no, 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 no. It's just no. And your self-esteem, whatever little bit of it is left, just diminishes. And at that point, the thing that you thought you would never do becomes an option. And some people turn to drugs. And you might, a listener might be saying, well, if you don't have any money, how do you have drugs? Well, let me just tell you, there's a dealer on, every third corner of the world who says, hey, take this baggie of these pills to this address and I'll give you $20. And hey, by the way, here's one for you.
Yep.
Because if the dealer can get you addicted, the dealer owns your soul.
Yeah. And
And
that's where
so,
the girls get into prostitution too.
well, and let me tell you, I feel so strongly about the fight against human trafficking, particularly child sex trafficking. So I'm loath to use the word prostitution because it sort of implies that the girl has a choice. And
Right.
there
Yeah.
are people who make that choice and that's what they want to do. I do understand there are people who refer to themselves as sex workers and whatever. I don't, because the number one target of human traffickers are victims of child abuse.
Right. Right.
And girls and boys too
Yeah.
will say, okay, well, Uncle so-and-so took it for free. I might as well go with this guy and have a place to stay. So this is what happens. Typically when a young person is homeless for, they say within the first 48 hours, I'm getting this from Vanguard University's Global Center for Women and Justice, from interviewing rescued trafficking victims. We know that within the first 48 hours of becoming homeless, they're approached by a trafficker.
Mm.
And by the second or third time, the trafficker comes around with a burger and fries and a Coke and says, oh, you're still here? Nobody's coming to see about you? They go. Because the trafficker says, hey, you know what? Maybe you could, we don't know they're a trafficker at that point, right? They
Right.
just seem like a nice person. You know what? Come to my place. You could take a shower. You could sleep. I might even have something that fits you. So, they jump in the car and that's the end of that. I mean, it's terrible. So my point in writing, back to your original question, I'm so sorry, Berlin, but
Oh no, you're doing good. Yeah.
I'm crazy passionate about this stuff
Yeah.
because these are our kids. I say our kids because the young people in the world today are our best hope for the future. And when they're trafficked, we know that their average life expectancy is 7 years. And the average age of a child being trafficked now, the average age in a lot of places where this is going on is 12 years old. In some places, it's much younger than that. So I thought, okay, I need to write 30 Days to Happiness because I need to help people understand exactly what I did. It's not the only way to get happiness. A, it's my way. It worked for me. So it's 30 days. You do something every single day. Here's a meditation. Here's an action. Here's a quote. Here's a little, it's very easy read, and we're turning it into an audiobook as well. And so 30 Days to Happiness is about countering depression, countering that feeling of, well, I'm in so much pain, I might as well take that pill you're giving me. My life is in such shambles, I might as well take my life. I wanted to give people a specific how-to because I didn't have it. I had to figure it out through trial and error. And I chased a lot of things. I thought if I had my own business, I'd be happy. Well, I had my own business and that didn't just magically make me happy. Oh, if I get married, that'll make me happy. Okay, I got married, now I have my business. Oh, guess what? Still not magically happy, right? I mean,
Mm.
still just stuff happens. Well, if I had the house of my dream, if I had a house on the beach in Malibu, that'll make me happy. I got the house on the beach in Malibu. I had the business. I had the great husband. Still not magically happy. I could go on and on and on and on because this went on for like 20 years. And then finally, I figured it out. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's not that complicated, but it's not about chasing stuff. And I think so many people, and I know, I mean, this is what you do. You're talking to people who are in business and you know, they're striving for something. There's nothing wrong. I want to just reiterate, there's nothing wrong with striving. We should be striving to find and fulfill God's good plans for our lives because there's nothing like it when you get there. There's a sense of contentedness and there's peace and joy. And it doesn't mean that nothing bad's ever going to happen, but we bring the peace with us into the conflicts that we are called to resolve. We bring joy with us into the hard places in life. And we can let other people borrow our joy and borrow our hope, and we can give our love, and this is how it spreads. And when we're doing that, we cannot not be successful in business because people are drawn to those who are joyful and who are loving and who are selfless. And so when we bring that, doesn't matter what the industry is, it doesn't matter what the business is, when we bring all that into our business relationships, our personal relationships, we create, or I should say, really, personal and professional success sort of creates itself in front of us when we're doing our part. So that's where the first book came from. And then I thought, okay, well, wait, love is more important than, I mean, happiness is great, but love is more important than happiness. And love leads to happiness. So I had to do 30 Days to Love. So that one just recently came out. So that was a long answer to a short question. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's really all good. So the urgency is because of what's going on in the world, and also that the suicide rate that you're talking about, and the people who are living with that hope deferred and believing that it's never going to end, which is a common lie that the enemy uses. We break this lie a lot. Is it's never going to get any better. It's never going to end. So someone else is going, it's okay. We believe for someone else, but it's not for us, like for our healing or for our, financial breakthrough or whatever it is in business. Oh, I see someone doing amazing marketing things, but I couldn't do that. So that's that sense of that unworthiness, that I don't deserve it, and all of that stuff that you're combating and coming against with these books. So for the audience, if you know someone who is going through stuff and they don't maybe know the Lord as their savior, or the Lord as their rock of that happiness or love, then I would absolutely make sure that you get these books that Rhonda has and get them in their hands, because like she said, it's little things to do over time. And here's another fallacy that we sometimes fall into in our microwave society is you just take a pill and it's once and done, right? Oh, I prayed that prayer once. Should be good now, right?
And 15 minutes later, nothing happened. So I don't believe anymore, right?
I know, right? I know, and this is one of the things that I'm going to talk to the Apostle Paul about. This is, he says he prayed about this thorn in his flesh 3 times. I'm like, Twitter.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Anyway, so doing it over a 30-day period will definitely help, not only to change your mindset, but also to literally shift the biochemical sequencing that your body is addicted to, based in the lie of I'm not worthy, or I can't deserve it, or everything happens to me, or this is never going to end, or all of those things that get you into that rolling spiral downward. So you're not only, your body becomes addicted to that, but you're also building the new neural pathways and of the new, like, what is the new paradigm? What does God truly say about you, who he says you are, how much you are loved? So those are the things that I'm excited about, having that 30-day kind of a journey, because it takes a little minute of repetition to get it in you. So
Yes.
well done.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really hope that these books, well, all of them that I've written one called How to Get to Awesome, 101 Ways to Find Your Best Self, Acts of Kindness, the kindness quotient, about really changing your life and changing your world through the power of kindness. I wrote Successful Survivors, the 8 character traits that survivors develop. And then those character traits are exactly what we need to create personal and professional success. And I don't know, there are many more books, but it's all about turning around on the path that we've walked, whatever path you walked, whatever path you as the listener has walked, you're perfectly equipped and qualified now to turn around on that path and help the people who are where you used to be. And so that's what I've tried to do, is to say, okay, I'm not the world's foremost expert on spirit-led business, on coaching somebody in whatever anybody else does. Good for you. God bless you. I'm the world's foremost expert on my life. That's it. And I know what worked for me, and that's what I share. What I wish somebody would have shared with me.
Right. And that's actually a biblical principle. I think it was Apostle Paul who wrote, the comfort that we've been given, we now give to you. So you've had to have gone through some stuff to need some comfort. So now you can help someone else on their journey.
Exactly, exactly. Because, when I go and speak to kids who have been abused, the first thing they want to know is, what do you know about child abuse?
Sure.
So if I say, oh, I had a wonderful life, we just had cake and ice cream all the time,
Right.
they're
Rainbows and
checked out.
unicorns.
Yeah, exactly. So, when I walk in and say, well, I could show you where I was disciplined with a scale, where I've had cigarettes put out into my arms and legs, and instantly, you think of teenagers, they're in the chair like this, and I'm talking about, okay, so this is just a teeny bit of what happened to me as a kid, and all of a sudden they're with me.
Yeah.
Because they know that I've been where they've been. So just you, every listener, if you're a cancer survivor, if you've, been through a divorce, if you've lost a child, whatever hard thing you've been through, and it's the worst thing that you've been through, and you don't want to ever think about it again because it was so horrible to live through it once, you don't want to talk about it. I'm not suggesting that you talk about it all the time, but own it. What we tend to do is we say, oh, this was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. I don't want to ever think about it, so we bury it. And what did you just say to me? Feelings buried alive. You said this to me.
Never die. That's
Never
impossible.
die.
Yes.
So when we bury something because it hurt too bad to even think about it ever again.
Right.
Okay, we can do that, but it pops up later in disease in our body, mental health issues, stress, whatever.
Yeah. And
But if we say, you know what? This happened. I can't go back in time. I can't change it. But you know what it did? It made me stronger. It made me more resilient. It made me more resourceful. I have empathy now oozing out of my pores. I know I can speak to somebody who's been through what I've been through and really and truly connect with them to where if you think about the person who's going through something horrible that you've been through and they don't know if they can make it, they're thinking maybe they're going to have to, take their life because they can't make it. And they look at you and you're together, you're smiling, you're good, you're healed. Are you perfect? No. I say we're awesome and we have flaws. So I say I'm flawsome.
All right. Love it.
But when you stand before somebody and you're still standing after what you've been through, they look at you and really you almost don't have to say a word because they look at you and say, look at her. She made it. She looks okay. I think I can make it too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. One, I just want to shift gears here. You also have another foundation that you started, Love is Action.
Okay.
Tell
So
us
the
about
Love is
that.
Action, yeah, the Love is Action Community Initiative is actually the main initiative of Successful Survivors Foundation. So it's
Okay.
we basically created a blueprint for how anybody in any neighborhood or community can come together and help those that are most vulnerable in their community and help them in safe ways. And so anybody who wants to know about that can go to loveisaction.com, and there are downloadable, all kinds of free downloadable things there to get people started. There are vetted ministries that are doing just amazing work. You do not, I know you don't want me to get started talking because you'll have to just cut me off, but just go to loveisaction.com and look at the amazing programs and resources and partners because they're all vetted. They're all doing really good work, and you could get on a train that's already moving and you don't have to start from scratch. Although if somebody wanted to start from scratch in their community and connect with the good organizations there, that's fine too, but it's all there.
And so the name of the foundation is actually Successful Survivors. And
Yes.
Love is Action is the initiative. Okay, so Successful Survivors is helping those who have come through trauma or still in trauma, maybe.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, anybody who has survived hard stuff,
Mhm.
I think, can benefit.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we know there are lots and lots of studies that have been done on this, that somebody who's been victimized will very likely be a victim again. And
And there also tend to be abusers.
and right, and can perpetuate those
Exactly.
cycles of abuse and poverty and substance abuse disorder and all that kind of thing. So what we try to do is educate and encourage and empower people to go from having that victim mindset. We're not saying it didn't happen. We're
Yeah.
not trying to minimize it or dismiss it. Yep, it happened. I'm sorry it happened. I wish it hadn't happened. If I could go back in time and change it, I would, but I can't. So the next best thing to do is not give that trauma, that abuser, that situation, whatever it is, we don't want to give them one more second. Why give somebody the satisfaction of knowing that they're continuing to hurt you long after the specific situation is over? We get 1,440 minutes every single day. I'm not giving one of them to the enemy, to anything evil. I just won't, because what we sow comes back to us in what we reap. So let's sow love, let's sow goodness and hope and faith out. And the way we do that is by acknowledging what's happened and saying, okay, guess what? I might have been victimized when I was too little and too vulnerable to prevent it, but I'm not a victim now. I'm a survivor. And when we mine the character traits that were developed in us as a result of what we went through, the learned abilities, and when I say learned abilities, here's an example. Like when somebody who's been abused or let's say raised in a dysfunctional or chaotic home, we can read a room, Bralynn. I mean, you can walk into a room of 40 people and literally within seconds, you can read micro expressions, body language, and you can say, oh, I can probably trust that one. Oh, not going near that one. People hire us to sit and in a courtroom and help lawyers decide who should be on juries because we learned how to read micro expressions when we were, 4 years old or whatever. So these are valuable learned abilities. So when you start to take all that, I mean, I know this is going to sound crazy to people who are still in that excruciating pain. But there's a point in time where I'm not kidding you. I thought, you know what? If I could find my mother and father, I would send them thank you cards because I wouldn't be who I am and have the power that I have and been able to do what I've accomplished in my life if they hadn't left me behind.
Mm.
And so when we can get to the point where we can literally thank the people who have hurt us, we've taken our power back. We've taken our control back. And I truly believe that we're happy in our lives to the degree that we feel in control.
True. I bet that you said you were top salesman at 15 years old. I bet that your ability to read people had a lot to do with that, huh?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm a telemarketer. I wasn't licensed. In fact, I became the youngest licensed insurance agent in California at 17 because my boss was scared to death that we were both going to get in trouble because I was selling and I didn't have a license, but I wanted to help people not ever experience homelessness because they weren't insured. I think thinking about what you do and the clients that you have, the people who listen to you about, I mean, of course, what they want success in business, right? For me, my success in business in every aspect because I really genuinely wanted to help people. I think when we really want to help, to use our experience and our expertise to help somebody who really needs it, that's when passion kicks in. And when that switch kicks in and we become passionate, you can't help but succeed. I mean, that's what happened with me in business, that I was 27 years old. I was way too young. I mean, I was dealing at that point, every single CEO of a child welfare organization in the United States was male. So it was male dominated. They were all old enough to be my father or my grandfather. So just logically, I shouldn't have been successful. But they felt my passion. Nobody was going to go to bat for them like I did. Nobody was going to hold their hand through it. Nobody was going to try to understand the things that happen and how they could be prevented more than I did because I had been there and I didn't want a child hurt. So I think in business, if we'll just follow that passion, I think God planted it inside of us. Our passion is found in the broken pieces of the hardest things we've been through. And if we'll bring all of that together, we can't lose.
So good. So good. Yes, definitely. God has a plan through all of it. And he never abandons us, even though we might feel like it, we might feel alone. He never leaves us. So good. I am so glad. This was a great conversation. Thank you, Rhonda. This has been really good.
Thank you for having me. I
Yeah,
really, really appreciate it. I love what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. There's probably a lot of other conversations we could have, but we better land this plane because
Well, we'll have more. You join me next time on
all
my
right.
Find Your Purpose Now podcast.
Sounds good. All right, you guys, make sure that you go to rhonda.org and check out all of her books. Her podcast is over there, the foundation that she's heads up, and the initiative that she does. Everything all about her is over on rhonda.org, and you can go ahead and fall in love with her like I did.
Thank
Love,
you.
right?
Yes. One of those kinds of love. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sister.
All right. Thank you again, Rhonda. And to our audience, if you have enjoyed the Spirit Centered Business Podcast and enjoyed our conversation, make sure that you share it with your friends, like and subscribe to the channel, and leave comments. We love that wherever you're listening to the podcast. We so appreciate you. And a big shout out again to our super sponsor, Candace Benton. In case you haven't sent her a little bit of love this week, make sure you do, because she's an amazing woman. Okay, you guys, until next time, stay spirit-centered. Peace out.
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles, and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.